Hello, my name's Kurt, and this is Simple Shop Creations. And in this video series, I'm going to go through the steps on how I produce multiple copies of this style of cutting board. But first, let me tell you that this introduction is going to be used for all the parts of the process that I upload so you guys can view. So if you want to skip this introduction, it's just you've seen it once before, just go down in the description below, and there'll be chapters of certain portions of the video. And just click on one of the timelines and you can get right to the video. If you like to purchase this template, which I use to create the cutting boards, you can just send an email to simpleshopcreations@gmail.com and we will work out the arrangements from there. There will be a cost associated, so just go down in the description and you can get my email address down there. In addition, there will be above me what part of the video this is and what process or what step we are in the process of batching these small cutting boards out. So with that, let's go ahead and continue on with the video series on how to mass produce these cutting boards. So here I'm setting up two planer sleds with the hard maple that I'm going to use for the body of the cutting board. Here you can also see that I'm putting wedges underneath the boards and also using hot glue to keep it in place so the boards won't rock back and forth when I send them through the planer. Also, I have some pencil marks on there to help me determine if I planed everything down nice and flat. Now, as you can see to the right of the planer sleds, I have 5 more of these boards to plane. So this is going to be a very long and tedious process of running through the planer, removing off the sled, putting new ones on, lining them all up, make sure they don't rock back and forth. So it's a little tedious and a little time consuming. Now the boards, or the hard maple boards, have been rough cut down to approximately 11 inches wide by 19 inches in length. The width was already there, so I didn't have to rip them. I just had to cross cut them down to 19 inches. So here you can see that I sped up the video and we're getting ready to go to the planing portion of this video. And here we are, you can see I'm running through the planer. Now let's talk a little more about the wood. The wood again is hard maple for the body of the cutting board, and the ends of the cutting boards will be made out of walnut. Now I have to go through this process sometimes with the hard maple and then a bunch more times with walnut. And as you see, the walnut, when we get to the walnut portion of this video, the walnut's only approximately 6 inches wide. So that can run on my jointer, which you'll see later on in this video. Now, the overall dimensions of the small cutting board will be 12 inches by 8 inches wide. Now here you can see that I'm removing the maple boards. You can see it can be a little struggle. Sometimes that hot glue can really get stuck on there. I'm using a little razor blade here to remove the hot glue that's stuck on the sides of or the edges of the maple. Yeah, like I said, this is going to be a very tedious process. Here I'm doing it again, making sure that the maple does not rock back and forth when it goes through the planer. Now here, there's a little imperfection coming up. You can see that I'm going to pause and I'm going to measure something here. You can see my finger just running over it. I'm going to measure, see how wide or how far in from the left side it is, because I need a minimum of 8 inches, well, more like an 8.25 inch width to make the cutting board. So let's talk about the planer. It's just a 13-inch wide cut tech planer that I had for a few years. It's got the individual cutter heads, 27, 28 of them. It does fine for a benchtop planer, so I'll get a few more years out of it before I maybe upgrade to a floor model. But other than that, it was definitely worth the investment. Now here we're coming up to the joiner portion of this video. Now here I'm using a 6-inch wide joiner from Jet. This has been a very solid piece of equipment. I would definitely recommend this Jet product if you're looking for a joiner. So here, I'm going to go through all the boards again and bring them down to their final thickness or rough thickness. You don't want the board to be, all the boards to be less than 3/4 of an inch thick. So the thicker you can keep it, the better you will be. Now here, we're back at the joiner. We're going to put a nice good edge on all the boards before we bring it over to the table saw and cut these down to close to their final dimensions. The final dimensions will be when I put the template on top and bring it to the router and all that stuff. That will bring it to its final dimensions. So we're coming up to the end of the video here. In part 2 of this video series, I'm gonna go through cutting these boards down, the maple and the maple and the walnut down to very close to final dimensions. As I said previously, the template will bring it down to the exact final dimensions. So with that, have yourself a healthy and wonderful day. Until the next video.